The ultra-left Rachel Maddow just suffered a huge loss in court. We're going to take a look at the latest defamation lawsuit against her. We're going to see her pathetic defense that was utterly laughed out of court. And stick me to the very end of this video when I'll reveal how conservatives are sticking it to the legacy media once and for all. You are not going to want to miss this. Former Congressman and Trump ally Devin Nunes has scored a major victory in his defamation lawsuit against MSNBC's Rachel Maddow. A federal judge in New York ruled that Nunes' defamation lawsuit against Maddow may indeed proceed to trial, thus clearing a major legal hurdle in holding the radical leftist host accountable for her deliberately spreading fake news. So if you don't know, this is going back to March 18th, 2021, a broadcast on the Rachel Maddow show on MSNBC. Maddow made the claim then that then-Congressman Nunes was sent a package from a pro-Russian Ukrainian legislator by the name of Andriy Derkach, and that Nunes, quote, refused to hand the package over to the FBI, which is what you should do if you get something from somebody who's sanctioned by the U.S. as a Russian agent. That's what Maddow said about it. Unfortunately for Maddow, Nunes' staffers recorded the fact that the package was indeed immediately handed over unopened to the FBI. In other words, Nunes did exactly what Maddow claimed he didn't. In fact, Nunes apparently even sent a letter to then Attorney General William Barr alerting him to the matter and briefed the FBI about the package. And so Nunes is suing Maddow for defamation for intentionally lying about his actions. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Maddow's defense argued that she's just a commentator, which means what she says isn't necessarily true because she's not dealing with facts but with her own opinions, which of course is a blatant admission that what Maddow peddles is not actual news. She just spews narrative, a far-left woke neo-Marxist narrative. Regardless, her defense was that she was merely offering her own opinions, which are protected under the First Amendment. Isn't it interesting, by the way, that the very people who want to deny us our First Amendment rights, who want to silence us, cancel us, prevent us from having a platform for the voicing of our opinions, isn't it interesting how quick they are to hide behind the First Amendment to protect their own absurd banter? But the judge in this case, U.S. District Court Judge P. Kevin Castell, ruled that when Maddow asserted Nunes did not hand over the package to the FBI, she made the claim as a matter of fact, not as an opinion. In his decision, he wrote, quote, "The statement in this respect was false, not just technically, but also in substance and meaning, and capable of injuring Nunes in his profession." The judge also noted that Maddow cited absolutely no source for her claims about Nunes, and he thus concluded that Nunes has plausibly alleged actual malice and is therefore allowing the defamation case to proceed to trial. Now, this is not the first time that Maddow has been brought to court for peddling fake news. Back in 2019, Maddow was sued for defamation by One America News, a conservative news outlet that got a shout out from President Trump, retweeting their stories and the like. What happened was that the Daily Beast reported on one of One America's reporters having worked previously with the Russian news outlet Sputnik. And they ran a report that said Trump's new favorite channel employs Kremlin-paid journalists. But Maddow went a step farther. She got on her show and went so far as to say, and these are her words, quote, "We literally learned today that outlet the president is promoting shares staff with the Kremlin. In this case, the most obsequiously pro-Trump right-wing news outlet in America really literally is paid Russian propaganda. The on-air U.S. politics reporters paid by the Russian government to produce propaganda for that government." So obviously, OAN turned around, sued Maddow for defamation. And they rightly noted that there wasn't a shred of evidence to back up that inflammatory accusation. Even the Daily Beast article didn't go as far as Maddow, so as to accuse One America being a Russian propaganda disseminator. So One America sued Rachel Maddow for defamation. And guess what her defense was back then? You're going to love it. But first, if you're feeling a little down after the midterms, or if you're nervous about what to say to woke family members gloating over the upcoming holiday season, I want to help you. For a limited time, I'm going to give you absolutely free my go-to news resources and 7 more bonuses simply by clicking on the link below. If you want to have optimism and clarity in your arguments and counter the destroying effects of woke culture with a positive conservative vision of life this holiday season, don't miss this special opportunity. Download my personal news resources plus 7 bonuses that will prepare you for 2023 and beyond simply by clicking on the link below or visiting insidersclub.turleytalks.com. All right, so you ready for this defense? Maddow claimed that when she said literally, she didn't mean literally. Her lawyers claim that Maddow was simply using hyperbole, a vivid hyperbolic turn of phrase. When she said really literally, she wasn't being really literal. I mean, you cannot make this shit up. And what was so interesting is that a linguistics professor from the University of California, Santa Barbara, testified in court that that argument doesn't hold water. The professor did a long discourse analysis of Maddow's on-air speech patterns and found that whenever she uses the term literally, she means in fact. It is most certainly the case. And therefore, her claim, her accusation would not be interpreted naturally as a statement of opinion, but rather one of hard fact rooted in objective evidence, very much along the lines of what the judge in Nunes's defamation case is concluding. Now, unfortunately, Maddow squirmed her way out of that lawsuit. The courts eventually ruled in her favor, and this is because courts have basically been rigged in favor of big media for the last several decades. We'll get into that in a second. But there have been some pretty impressive legal successes against the legacy media. The most recent, of course, being Nick Sandmann of Covington Catholic High School, who settled out of court with the Washington Post and CNN for their utterly slanderous coverage of that viral incident with the high school students at the March for Life event in Washington, D.C. a couple of years back. But again, unfortunately, our courts have made it almost impossible to successfully sue the media for defamation. It goes back about 50 years to the New York Times versus Sullivan. That was a Supreme Court case that took up the issue of the media getting sued by then segregationists who were upset that the media was publishing accounts of segregationists opposing the civil rights movement. And so at the time, it was a choice between self-censorship or going out of business for the media, getting sued into oblivion. And so the court ruled in the New York Times versus Sullivan that libel laws actually threaten the very existence of a free press. In other words, the First Amendment, when it comes to the press, takes precedent over accusations of libel, which is so ironic because many are now accusing the New York Times of trying to silence certain opinions and disenfranchise them from the public square, right? Doing exactly what they were complaining about. But regardless, while it is an uphill battle, we'll most certainly be keeping an eye on how things develop with Devin Nunes's lawsuits, as well as the massive explosion in parallel news media sites like Twitter that are filling in the massive informational hole left by the woke legacy media. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on President Trump making a huge admission about Kerry Lake in Arizona. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.